mean to be a peer mentor?
Well, okay, being a peer mentor, just like, at least to me, it just means being there for my students, helping them get acclimated to campus, especially with all of this craziness that's going on. We're all new to what's happening, so it's helping them is also helping us get used to the new normal, and so we've been learning from each other.
Awesome. And Katie's also here. Katie, you want to say hey and tell them Katie May is our early start coordinator.
Hi.
And Katie, tell them a little bit about early start and what you're doing with students right now.
We are teaching DS 120 and getting students used to college courses and campus.
Thanks, Katie. And now the stars of the show. Maybe if parents on here, these could be your students here. So we'll have both of them introduce themselves. They can tell you a little bit about their major and how they've been enjoying the experience so far.
Hello, my name is Jessica Bradford, and I am double majoring in retail management and selling and sales management. And so far, my favorite part about being here at Purdue is easing into the whole Purdue life and meeting all the faculty.
Hi, I'm Caroline Boyd. My major is in speech language and hearing sciences, and so far my favorite part has been able to meet new people and also have our mentors, because they've been a good support for us and they've kept us on track and taught us a lot of things about campus.
And I grabbed both of these young ladies on their way to dinner. So what are you guys planning to have for dinner today in Earhart? Salad.
I don't know. I'll see whatever looks good.
All right. Well, we don't want to take up the whole time, and we're sorry again for the technical difficulties, but I can tell you the students are definitely having a really good time. Lots of students coming and going here. Some other students coming out of Earhart. So very fun. The tent is all set up now, so starting tomorrow, the students should be able to start eating together, 4 students at a table, some plexiglass barriers between them as well. So we're really excited. Hey, you want to say hey to your parents? Say hey. Hi. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much, Jen. I'm going to let you take it from here, since we're going to hang out with students for the rest of the evening. So thanks again, everyone, and have a good night.
All right. Thank you so much for that, John. I'm sure, although we don't have our families on screen, I am sure they are very excited to see some of the students and hear their experiences. So I'm going to go ahead and get really started now. Thank you all so much for sticking with us during our technical difficulties. We really wanted to make sure that John had a chance to talk with you tonight. So to all of our summer start and early start families, welcome. They've made it through day 3. I hope that they have lots of exciting things to share with you as they have finished up that 3rd day of classes and are starting to learn new things about campus. So tonight we are doing Supporting Your Boilermaker Part 2. The event tonight will focus on other areas that we didn't cover on Monday that are available to support your students now all the way throughout the academic year. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Jen Wetley. I'm the Assistant Director for Parent and Family Connections, and I have had the opportunity and pleasure to connect with many of you during some of our conversations on the 2020 Admitted Facebook group. Some of the things that we'll be able to cover tonight have been asked once, twice, a number of times in that group. So we hope that you will be a little bit more comfortable with other areas of campus after watching this presentation tonight, just so that if your Boilermaker has something come up, and you'll have a little bit more information as to what resources are available to them and how you can help support them or direct them to the resources here on campus. We're going to get started tonight with a representative from the registrar. Sarah, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll have Lisa introduce herself, and then while you guys are doing that, I will get your slides up.
Awesome. My name is Sarah Rumpke, and as Jen said, I'm with the Office of the Registrar. I'm the Registrar Operations Administrator for Residency and FERPA.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Beals. I'm the Senior Associate Registrar, and my area of responsibility covers registration, academic records, and commencement.
All right, well, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in, Jen, if that's okay. So I wanted to talk tonight about FERPA and specifically what is FERPA. FERPA is an acronym for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and that was a federal law that's been enacted by the United States Congress in 1974. The Act sets forth requirements regarding the privacy of student records, and FERPA governs the release of the records maintained by the university and access to those records. FERPA grants 4 specific rights to the student. They have the right to see the information that the institution is keeping on the student. They have the right to seek an amendment to those records, and in certain cases to append a statement if they don't believe that record is correct. They have the right to consent to disclosure of their records with some exceptions, and then they have the right to file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Education if they feel that those rights have been violated. So specifically, what are educational records? Those are records that directly relate to your student. They're personally identifiable. They're maintained by Purdue University, the institution, or a party acting for Purdue University. Some examples of educational records at Purdue are PUID card photos, student grade records, which include class assignments, financial aid records, student account records, and admission application records. Specifically, what is directory information? Directory information is the only information that can be released without written consent of the student. And this is provided the student does not have a restricted directory. For students at Purdue University, it includes only the following things. So their student's name, their email address, their local and home physical address, local and home telephone number, college, school, and curriculum, enrollment status, credit hour load, the dates that they have attended the university, their classifications such as freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, receipt or non-receipt of a degree, academic awards that they've received, if they've participated in officially recognized activities, sports photograph, and then position, weight, and height of an athlete. FERPA regulations allow the release of directory information, as I've said, without the written consent of the student, but FERPA also gives the student the right to restrict this information from the general public. When a student restricts their directory information, it means that any request for information will not be released without written permission from the student. The university must continue to honor the restricted information request even after the individual is no longer a student until otherwise informed by the student. So this is very important. If a student decides to restrict their directory information, then any requests for items such as for enrollment verification, degree verification, etc., will need the student's written permission before any of this information can be released to a third party, such as a health insurance company or prospective employer. It's important to know that if a student restricts their directory information, that their information then is considered to be confidential. So there are some exceptions to the FERPA restrictions. And this is also a federal regulation called the USA Patriot Act of 2001. This law includes exceptions to FERPA, which usually requires written consent from the student. There's 3 separate exceptions. One is called an ex parte order, which is in connection with an investigation or prosecution of terrorism crimes. The second is a lawfully issued subpoena and a court order. And then the third is a health or safety emergency. So this is if Purdue University determines that there's an articulable and significant threat to the health or safety of the student or others, then information from the educational records of that student may be released to any person specifically, though, whose knowledge of the situation is necessary to protect the health and safety of the student or other individuals. So what kind of information may be released to you as the student's parent or legal guardian? Directory information, of course, may be released at the discretion of the institution. Parent or legal guardians may obtain non-directory information such as grades or GPA if, and this is done through the Office of the Registrar, but if the parent can demonstrate that their student is a dependent per U.S. federal tax law. And then finally, our recommended way to receive information about your student is through My Purdue Proxy. This is where a student can give parents, legal guardians, or other trusted parties access to view certain pieces of their information online. This access is referred to as proxy access. So under My Purdue Proxy, the student controls the entire process through their My Purdue portal. They can add anyone with a valid email address as their proxy. The proxy will only see the pieces of information that the student has authorized them to view. So the student selects which information pages will be viewable when they set up the account, and they can grant and remove access through the proxy management page. Some examples of information that a student may grant access to see would be final grades, midterm grades, registration, schedule, final, and financial aid. So more information about My Purdue Proxy and some FAQs and specifically steps how to set this up are located on our website if you go to purdue.edu/registrar/FERPA. So there's a difference between a proxy and an authorized user. So My Purdue Proxy does not give proxy information, the authorization, to view or make payments on a student's billing statement. So that is done through the bursar's office and through TouchNet, which is the bursar's secure payment gateway. So a student can authorize others, such as parents, guardians, or employers, to view billing information and or pay bills on their behalf through being an authorized user in TouchNet. That information is located on the bursar's website, www.purdue.edu/bursar. Okay, so important to note that an authorized user does not have access to a student's stored payment methods, their academic records, or other personal information. So a couple of things to remember. Directory information is the only information that can be released without the written permission of a student, as long as they don't have a restricted directory. And then if you have any questions regarding FERPA, whether it's your student has a question or you have a question, please contact us at FERPA@purdue.edu. So thank you so much.
Jen, I think you're muted.
Thank you, Drew. I was. Sorry about that. One thing I did forget to mention to all of our participants tonight is if you have any questions for any of our panelists, please be sure to enter those into the Q&A section. We do have a member of Parent Family Connections behind the scenes that will be pulling out those questions and making sure that I get them so that we can share those to our panelists. If we don't get to those questions tonight, if you want to email John Gibson's team at thinksummer@purdue.edu or parents at purdue.edu, we will be sure to get follow up on that for you, especially if it's something that does not pertain to tonight's presentation with our current panelists. So next up, we have John Cox, who is our Chief of Police. John, while I am pulling up the video, can you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Yep, absolutely. Good evening, everybody. My name is John Cox. I'm your Chief of Police here at Purdue University Police Department on the West Lafayette campus. The police department here at Purdue is just like any other typical city or county law enforcement agency. We've got 45 sworn officers. We have a full-time dispatch center with 13 dispatchers working in that center. We're a full-service 911 center, and we dispatch police, fire, and EMS out of our center for our campus community. We are very fortunate that we have a fire department on our campus, and they run 2 full-time advanced life support ambulances out of that fire station, and they have one of only 2 certified fire engines that are ALS certified in the state of Indiana. So when it comes to public safety, your students are well taken care of here, and I look forward to hearing from some of you and answering questions. Thank you.
All right, and now we have a video. So if you've joined us for any of the admissions events, you may have already seen this video, but this is a wonderful representation of our emergency management system.
Hello, and welcome to Purdue. My name is Carol Shelby, and I am the Senior Director of Environmental Health and Public Safety. Members of the EHPS team are going to share safety resources that are available to you.
I'm Ryan Edwards with the Purdue University Police Department. Your campus police department has 40 fully sworn officers of the state of Indiana to assist you. Our police department is on South Martin Jiske Drive, just northeast of the Sun Statue. Our department is open 24 hours a day, every day of the year. If you need assistance anywhere in Indiana, you can call or text 911. On campus, your call or text will come directly to our Public Safety Dispatch Center to provide you with quick assistance. We participate in the national initiative to see something, say something. If you see something, anything of concern, call us. If it's not an emergency, you can call our non-emergency number. It's right on the back of your student ID card. Also on the back of your ID card is our student Safe Walk number, 494-SAFE. Your police department provides a free service of walking escorts 24 hours a day to your vehicle or across campus.
Hi, I'm Jefferson Howells with Campus Emergency Preparedness and Planning Office. Our campus is a large one with a daily population of around 60,000 people. We have over 400 buildings on 2,500 acres. We provide emergency notifications called Purdue Alert to more than 55,000 people all at once. These alerts will provide important information to you and the rest of the Purdue community. Our basic emergency plan is simple. If you are outside and you hear an outdoor all hazards warning siren, you should go inside the nearest building to seek shelter. If you are inside and you hear a fire alarm, go outside. Each major building has a building emergency plan to identify the shelter-in-place locations and the evacuation route outdoors. If you haven't already, you should sign up for Purdue Alert text messaging. You can sign up for free at purdue.edu/EA, where you can also link to all campus emergency plans and training resources. You may also receive alerts via email, digital signage boards, boiler TV, desktop pop-ups, classroom beacons, or by hearing the outdoor all hazards warning sirens. You can also sign up for emergency notifications through your Twitter account by following @Purdue Emergency.
My name is Adam Bordner, and I am one of 30 career firefighters here at Purdue to provide safety to the campus. Here at Purdue, we are one of only a few U.S. universities equipped with a full fire and emergency medical services department. Conveniently located on 3rd Street by the COREC, 2 advanced life support ambulances are ready to respond at any time. In the event of a medical emergency, Purdue University firefighters are equipped as paramedics and emergency medical technicians who are here to provide you free emergency transport, care, and advice. Purdue University firefighters are trained in a wide variety of skills beyond fire suppression, such as high-angle rope rescue, hazardous materials emergencies, and airport rescue firefighting. Most importantly, if you have a medical emergency, please call or text 911 for immediate emergency medical services at no cost to you.
Hi, I'm Jim Schweitzer with Radiological and Environmental Management, commonly known as REM. We provide the university with a wide variety of safety services, such as lab safety training and facility inspections. We help you and your student organizations for safety planning for your events. With over 100 miles of sidewalks on campus, we want you and your fellow students to be safe as you travel across campus. Try to stay aware and put your phone down and keep your eyes up as you travel across campus. We have a slip, trip, and fall hotline to report unsafe walking conditions. Just dial 765-494-3087 to report those unsafe walking conditions.
All of the departments in environmental health and public safety offer safety programs and training so you can be educated about your campus and how to stay safe. Just go to purdue.edu/EHPS and look for the training tabs to find lists of our training opportunities. And don't forget, safety and emergency numbers are located on the back of your Purdue student ID card. Your safety is your personal responsibility, but we've got a lot of resources and people here to help you. From all of us on your environmental health and public safety team, we welcome you to the community. Be safe and boiler up.
All right. Thank you so much for watching that with us. Give me just a moment. John, do you have anything else that you would like to add from that video?
You know, even in normal times, there's no priority higher here at Purdue than safety.
I don't want to interrupt the president there.
Hold on just a moment. There we go. Sorry about that.
Yep, no problem. So what I would say is that if you have questions or concern, obviously you can call our dispatch center at any point in time. Our focus is your students. We do have somewhere in that neighborhood of 55 to 60,000 people every day on our campus. And so we are like I said, a full service police department. We provide a lot of services. Our officers are well trained. In the state of Indiana, the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy mandates 24 hours of training per year to keep police officers certified, and our officers actually average 94 hours a year. So we're well trained, we're ready to serve, and again, we're just looking forward to connecting with your students and assisting them as we can through their 3 or 4 years or however long they happen to be here. So thanks again, and let me know if you have questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Chief Cox. Next up, we have Lori from Purdue Student Health Center. Lori, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself while I'm getting your website pulled up?
Sure. Hi, I'm Lori Blair, and I am the Business Services Manager for the Student Health Center. And Kelly is going to go ahead and Jennifer actually is going to pull up the website for us, because there are a few things that you're going to want to look at while I talk about this. First of all, the health center is open where our services are provided to all students, and we're available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. right now. And then when school starts in the fall on August 23rd, we will have Saturday hours from 10 to 6 during the day. And then on Sunday, new this year, we're going to offer hours from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So this year, the first year for a long time that we have actually had 7 days a week access for students. And then full-time continuing students are eligible for routine office visits for illness or injury at no charge. And that starts the week of Boiler Gold Rush through graduation. And in this case, actually, it starts now for your students because they are enrolled. Other services that we provide do have charges associated with them, and those services include physical exams, women's wellness exams, office procedures, medication administrations. We do IV infusions for students with chronic illnesses. We do have a full service radiology department. We do allergy shots and vaccinations, and we do travel exams. We do treatment for sports injuries, and we do physical therapy. Located in our building, there's also a full service reference laboratory that is right now administered through Mid-America Clinical Laboratories, and they are in network with most insurance companies. PUSH is in network with Anthem, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and also with United Healthcare, but we do bill all insurances. And I would encourage you to call your insurance company now and find out what coverage you do have at PUSH, because most of the time there is coverage. Anytime your student has a balance, we don't want your student to not come if they're worried about payment. So if there is a balance, it's not due at the time of service, and we can send it to the bursar's office. And as Sarah mentioned just a moment ago, if you have pay access in TouchNet, then any of our services can be paid for through that by parents. Let's see. We've also changed our model of care this year. So we've split our floors. We do have one entire floor that is dedicated to any student testing if we have to for COVID symptoms. We are not the first point of reference for those students, though. We do have the Protect Purdue Health Center, which is a phone call for students. If they have questions or concerns, they go there first. And then all other students are seen on a completely different floor in other areas of the Student Health Center. And then I do have a few reminders and a little bit more information that I know I've had questions on in the past. So all students who are taking classes will have to have all of their vaccinations entered by the end of September. And those can be entered on our webpage under the Health Information Management tab. And those are, you click on, and the student actually has to log into their patient portal in order to get those entered. We don't have to have a medical record. We just need the dates of the vaccines that are listed as required. The flu shot is not something that you can enter there, and mostly that's because the flu shot that we need to have on record this year, the flu shot is, by the way, required. I'm sure you already know that. But the one that we need is the season of the 2020-2021. And so that's not available yet anywhere. We should have ours here at PUSH by the beginning of September. I know that we will be holding clinics to give that. If your student does get the flu shot here at PUSH, we will automatically put that in their record and show compliance. If they get it someplace else on campus, then they'll have to report back to us. And I don't know yet what that process will be, but it will be on our website. I'll put it in either under a news item or an announcement item so that you can, so that they'll know what to do. They'll also tell them at the time of administration how to report that for compliance. Let's see, advanced directives, power of attorney, healthcare representative paperwork. That's always a question for us. It's not required, but we will hold that information for you, and you can fax it or mail it. Our fax number is 765-496-1227. Now, in the state of Indiana, students who are adults but are incapacitated for any reason, if they're not married, the hospital will automatically defer to the parent anyway. So I know that's a huge concern for parents. We get a lot of questions about that. And there's always that fear. What if something happens to my child and there's nothing that I can do? That is the law. They do defer to the parent as long as your student is not married. Another thing too that comes up a lot is how do I get access to my students' healthcare records? We always tell the students that what happens at PUSH stays at PUSH, and that is true. So in order for you to get any medical record information, or even for us to talk to you about any visits, your student has to go online and they will have to fill out a form giving us permission. That form is located online. It's an electronic document. I will tell you that if your student does not put a date on that document, it will expire in 30 days. So they must put a date on it in order for you to continue to get information. Minors. You will get, if you have not already received, if your student is a minor, an email from our Health Information Management Director, Megan Stewart, and that form, she'll email you a form that you can either fax or mail back to us, and it's a blanket consent for treatment. I will tell you that if your student shows up here at PUSH and they do need service or they're requesting services, then you will be contacted by a member of our team asking for a verbal consent to treat at the time of service, so that they would not be turned away for that reason. And then last but not least, student insurance. We do offer a student insurance plan that is provided at a competitive rate. It's through Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. If you click on the insurance tab and choose the proper option for you, all of the rates and the enrollment information is located actually on the Anthem website. It's AHP, and all of the information that you'll need for that is there. Open enrollment is actually open now. It doesn't close until, I believe, September 8th at 5 p.m. It's either 5 p.m. or midnight on September 8th. And then if you have any other questions, just go ahead and type it in and we will try to get back to it. If it's something we don't get to today, I can email and try to get those questions answered. Thank you. Boiler up.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Lori. Next up, we have a couple of representatives from CAPS, and I believe I'm going to go ahead and hand off the presentation privileges to Drew, and he will take it from there. And I think Teresa is also on as well.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome, yay. Hi, I'm Teresa.
And my name is Drew Zaitzoff. We are staff therapists over at Counseling and Psychological Services. I am sharing my screen over here for this beautiful PowerPoint we created for just this situation here. So the idea is we are here to make sure that you have information about the mental health services available to your students. CAPS's mandate is to provide mental health services to currently enrolled Purdue students. We know that college is difficult, and sometimes it is useful for a student to get supports, an outside perspective, or just to learn new skills for how to adjust to life as a college student. With CAPS, we are a multidisciplinary staff. We have licensed social workers, we have master's level therapists, psychologists, and psychiatrists, all representing. We're trying to meet the need of students in both direct clinical service, but also through outreach presentations about some of the more commonly faced problems that college students have. I know, we get to about the middle of the semester or towards the end of the semester, we're probably going to start getting requests for presentations about dealing with test anxiety or stress, because those are things that will very readily come up. I know around Valentine's Day, we'll probably do a couple outreaches about relationships, things like that. The idea is that if we can address some of the more common concerns by speaking to many people at once, well, that gives people skills and knowledge that saves them the trouble of having to come in to meet with us individually. We also work by consulting with some of the faculty and other Purdue staff. In case they have questions about how to handle a situation, they can call us and say, hey, I'm not saying names about the student, but here's a situation, what can we do here? And we can help guide that a little bit. One important fact that I would like you and your students to leave this presentation with is that CAPS services are mostly free of charge because they are covered by the student fees. The only additional charges we have are for our psychiatry medication services, which can be charged to insurance, and a no-show fee in case of missed appointments. The idea was that we were trying to reduce any possible barriers to people coming in. And I know that sometimes, having to pay for services on its own was a barrier. So we wanted to make that as straightforward to people as possible. Don't want anything getting in the way of folks getting help. So one of the criticisms that CAPS has received over the past couple of years is that it was difficult to making appointments in a timely manner. As a result, last year, CAPS created what we call a stepped care model. The entire point of it is to make certain that students have quick access to services. If someone called CAPS tomorrow, they would be offered a brief phone screening, either that day or the next day, with a purpose of assessing what the student's needs are and for a clinician to make a clinically based recommendation about what would help the student best. Previously, students who came to CAPS tended to be assigned to individual therapy because, broadly, that works. While that was frequently useful for the students, there were also a lot of times when students' concerns could have been addressed by something a little less time-intensive. Using different steps lets us more accurately match students to services and reduces the amount of time it takes for them to get in and receive services in the first place. So the model we have here arcs from less intensive on the left to more intensive on the right. We're also working to connect students to community resources. If there is another office on campus or in Greater Lafayette who does what a student needs better than we do, we want to connect them there. We want the students getting the best possible service, even if it isn't for us. So on the leftmost side, we have simple things, websites, helpful apps that students might not know of, but could really help them manage their thinking, pay attention to their mood, that sort of thing. Beyond that, we have 3 or 4 session workshops that address some of the more common concerns like anxiety and depression and teach skills for how to manage those things. With group treatment, honestly, group treatment is the treatment of choice for a number of the situations that bring students into CAPS. I cannot tell you the number of times a student has said, well, they described almost exactly the same problem I've heard several times that day already, and then said, hey, I know I'm the only one who's experiencing this. Typically, whatever stress a student is under, somebody else is experiencing it as well. And it can be incredibly empowering to sit in a room and hear someone else say, hey, this is the thing I'm encountering, and not just to have that legitimized, but also hear what the other person did to get through that, to work through it. For individual therapy, we actually use a brief, flexible approach. The idea is to identify a particular problem that a student is having and develop skills to manage them. Because of this brief model, CAPS actually isn't the recommended office in case someone is looking for long-term counseling over the course of many months or even years. If that is something a student is looking for, we have our care managers or the Thriving Campus website, that's actually linked on the front page of our website, to help connect students to local resources. And finally, we do know that there are some student situations that are more complex or more severe than CAPS can readily handle. Once the school year really begins, we are going to be able to see students likely every other week or so. And I know sometimes there are circumstances that require a closer attention. In those circumstances, we work to connect students with whatever the more appropriate resource is, whether that is a community therapist who can meet with them more frequently, or even a higher level of care like hospitalization. I know that COVID-19 has resulted in a lot of changes at Purdue and how we're approaching the fall semester. For your information, CAPS is not going anywhere. We are planning on keeping our services and we're making them available to students. The only difference is that we are going to be providing most of those services by telephone or this WebEx program in order for our office to stay in compliance with public health recommendations and consideration of safety for all. I know I have been doing telephone and WebEx therapy sessions for the past 3 or so months now. It definitely did take some getting used to. I am getting more used to talking to a camera than I was, last year. But in talking to students about it, we've gotten some pretty positive feedback on the idea of, hey, yeah, this is weird to start with, but we can get used to it and it's still useful. Another important thing that I would like you all to walk away knowing, CAPS does have a crisis service that is available to all students. The idea is that our clinicians can help to address whatever the immediate problem is, connect students to resources that would be useful, and also plan out what the next steps should be to make sure that everyone is making it through the day safe, healthy, and all right. The main way to reach this service is to call our main phone number, 765-494-6995, any time of day, any day of the week. It is running all the time. Students in crisis can also physically come to our office on the second floor of the PUSH building, if that is where they are right there. And again, the entire purpose of this is not to cause trouble to folks, but it is to make sure that a student who may be in crisis and may need a higher level of care can get it promptly. We don't want anyone wandering around campus wondering what could possibly be done. What can be done is they come to us and we help them sort it out. So I'm going to toss it over to Teresa here to talk about some of our confidentiality pieces. Teresa?
Thanks, Drew. Yeah, so like at PUSH, CAPS falls under a HIPAA rule for confidentiality. And so what that means that all of our services are confidential. We will not talk to our students, professors, family members, or friends without their written consent, particularly if the student is over 18 years of age. If somebody were under the age of 18, then we would be needing to get consent to provide counseling services, although we can still provide crisis counseling or crisis consultation and a brief screen in order to connect that student with services until that permission is provided for us. So exceptions to confidentiality would be made if we were concerned for the student's safety, particularly if they were thinking of harming themselves through suicide or harming another student on campus. If we believe that there was a threat to the physical safety of vulnerable students or adults, and if we did receive a subpoena from court, and that is all part of that HIPAA protection law. And that is a little different than FERPA, so we just wanted to acknowledge that we are very protective of information so that we can better serve our students. If a student did need to contact us, they would be signing a release of information similar to that of PUSH. However, those are different forms. So even if your student is being seen at PUSH and at CAPS, they would need to fill out two different forms. Next slide, Drew. And I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the self-help, I guess, side of the stepped care model. One of the things that we are really building is our website presence, particularly going more virtual with COVID and everything else. We have really been providing a lot of resources online, and that is something that we fully intend to continue moving forward. We believe that this is a really excellent way to reach students, as well as parents, faculty, and staff with helpful information about mental health needs. And so due to time constraints, I'm not going to show these slides for today, but I did want to acknowledge that under the About page on CAPS, we do have facts for a parent guide that might be helpful to remind yourself in the future about how do I get my student connected with services if needed, how do I coach them or look for signs of distress in my student. There's a lot of really helpful information on there. One of our pride and joys is this CAPS Corner that we just started, and you'll see Drew's name pop up there quite frequently. And this is our therapist's way to connect with our students and be able to speak to them about the issues we're seeing themes about. Our goal is to try to really speak to them through that website and to connect with them. So there are links to resources, and it's our way of informing them. We also have a lot of pages that are more specifically focused on resources like the International Student Support page that we have, information about visas and all sorts of other things on there. And one of the other things I will mention is the how to talk to professors about personal matters. That's one of the things that we often hear on campus is, how do I respect both the syllabus and also know that there are things going on for me that are just really hard right now, and I'd really like to talk to my professors about that. So I would encourage you to check out the website. If your student comes to you with some concerns, see if there's information on the website and encourage them to take a look at it as well. We are going to be continuing to update that information. We also have a Facebook and an Instagram account. Those are pretty new for us, so please be patient with the lack of information on there. We are continuing to grow and build with those resources. We can move on, Drew. Mm-hmm. I think this last slide here is just how you can contact us. So in some ways, the most important slide. Our phone number is here, like Drew said before. The best way to contact us is to call us, and we will help you decide is it appropriate to come in and what kind of services that we can help support you with. And then I also have the link to our website as well. So we look forward to hearing any questions that you might have for us. And welcome to Purdue.
All right, thank you so much, Teresa and Drew, for that. Next up, we have Tammy Lowe, who's going to be talking about our Recwell Center. Tammy, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself while I get up your website?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tammy Lowe, and I am the Senior Assistant Director of Wellness Programs in the Division of Recreation and Wellness, and I would like to welcome all of you to our conversation tonight, and I look forward to sharing a little bit of information about our wonderful facility with you. When we are at full strength, which when I mean full strength, I mean when we are not dealing with a pandemic, we get between 6,000 to 8,000 students that walk through our doors every single day in the Division of Recreation and Wellness. We are a very popular facility on campus. We are really a campus hub. Students visit us for a whole lot of reasons, not just to work out, but to participate in a lot of other activities. We have 44,000 square feet of fitness space in Recwell. We have a climbing and bouldering wall. We have a demonstration kitchen. We have 2 pools, massage therapy, and lots of activities. But of course, at this moment, we're closed. But we are working really hard to reopen our facility. And when I look around campus and I see, excuse me, when I see what our campus partners all across campus are doing to get our campus up and running for your students, it is nothing short of heroic. The things that I've seen done around campus, and when I look at what's being done in our facility to completely alter it to accommodate our new norm on campus, it really is the same. So we are working to reopen, and we hope that that will happen very, very soon. But there's some things that I want to show you on our site that you can share with your student. So do I have the ability to adapt to move this myself, Jen?
Let me see if I can give you presenter access and still have that up. It's going to stop sharing my screen if I do that. So if you just want to tell me where to go, I will be happy to do that, navigate for you.
Thank you. If you could scroll down to the virtual offerings. Virtual programs, if you could please click on virtual programs. This is something that's really important for you all to share with your students. So first of all, you need to know that it is free to come to the co-rec. Our facility is called the co-rec, but that's a nickname for it, but we call ourselves Recreation and Wellness. It is free for your students to come to the co-rec. And also, we have a lot of services right now that are free, that are always free for our students. And I think about the online students, they could take advantage of this as well. If you could scroll down just a little bit more, I want to show you one more. keep going to the last one. So, all right, a couple things that you need to know. One-on-one in-person consultations, free appointments, virtual appointments with registered dietitian. All your student needs to do is go and click on that box. One-on-one wellness coaching with a student wellness coach that can talk with them about setting goals or study skills, or if they're having problems with their roommate, they can meet one-on-one virtually with a wellness coach. If you could scroll up a few more here. One-on-one financial wellness coaching. So let's say your student wants to learn about creating a budget or how credit cards. They can schedule always one-on-one appointment with a financial wellness coach. All of the students can go online and look at some pre-recorded cooking demonstrations that we have. All of the students can go to any of our Group X trainer-led workouts, Les Mills on Demand, Group X classes, which are group fitness classes, and they can all participate online in those right now. Those are all free for your students. During the course of the school year, we usually charge a fee for students to go to Group X classes, but right now, all of that is free for your students. If you could scroll back down again. So physical therapy, that is actually part of the health center, but they actually operate at the COREC, so that would be a medical charge for them. We have massage therapy right now. Before we get up and running, our massage therapists can talk with them about aspects of massage. They can also schedule a session with a personal trainer. There's a slight charge for that. So we have, even though our facility is closed right now, our offerings are very available for your students to participate in while they are on campus, to do a lot of the things that we can do at the COREC. And for those of you who are online, this is all available for your students as well. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have during the information session. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Tammy. Let me cancel that. Sharing. All right. Thank you all for all the wonderful questions that you have coming into the Q&A. I see that Lori is in there chatting away with you all. But if you do have any other questions, be sure to ask those. And if we still have some time here at the end, we will make sure that we throw them all out so that they are recorded in case you come back and watch this a little bit later. So last but not least, we have Julie Cox with the Dean of Students Office. Julie, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself, I will get your PowerPoint slide pulled up.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm fully aware that I'm the last thing between you and asking questions. So I am going to make my information hopefully short, sweet, and to the point. As Jen mentioned, my name is Julie Cox. I'm an Associate Dean in the Dean of Students Office. I've been here at Purdue for about 13 years. And I've worked in higher ed for just shy of 30 years. I will share that I come at this from a perspective of my professional experience, but I am also a mother of 5 and a Purdue Boilermaker parent. So I've got a son who is going to be a sophomore in health and human sciences and is an Air Force ROTC. So, and actually, you know, parenting 5 kids has prepared me better than any book could have ever in terms of understanding what students are going through. Jen, if you want to go to the next slide. So the Dean of Students Office is located on the 2nd floor of Schliemann. At this time, because we have students that are on campus and we have students that are remote, we are open. Our doors are open for students if they need to make an appointment and see someone in person, or students can call or email us at our email address here. Sometimes when I'm giving a presentation in person, I'll say, if you want to take a picture of this slide, this has all of our information, so that way you can easily have it. Because we're kind of the office that if you're not sure where to go, you can always start with us. Purdue's big, it's complex, it's got lots of different colleges, it's a small city, And I've worked here for many years, and sometimes it confuses me. So for students or for parents and families, if you do have questions, we want to be that resource for you. Go to the next slide. A little bit about what we do. As I mentioned, we're a place to get questions answered, learn about resources, to support students. We meet with students and talk with them about personal situations, financial, academic. Unlike CAPS and PUSH, we are not confidential, so we are not protected by HIPAA, but we are protected by FERPA. So sometimes if students are a little nervous at the idea of maybe going to see a therapist, students can come to us for lots of different reasons. So oftentimes we're the office that they might come to first to kind of talk through, is this something that's a true mental health concern that I need therapy for, or is it just that I'm homesick, or I'm struggling with my roommate, or this place feels really big, I'm from a small town, or this place feels really small because I'm from Beijing. So whatever it might be, we're the office that you can start with, and we've got student support specialists to kind of talk through and kind of serve as coaches and mentors. The other thing we do is we help students navigate how to problem solve if they do need resources. We are a big referral to Tammy Shop. We're a big referral to CAPS. We're a big referral to PUSH. We kind of joke that we're the chief connector of dots on campus because it's hard for parents and students to understand all the different resources and all the different options. So we try to be the place that can kind of be the index for how to navigate Purdue. The other thing we're doing, and we're doing this more often certainly now in this new global pandemic time, is we do absence notifications for students. So if your student has something that happens, you know, they are, whether it's they're sick or they have to go home for a procedure or whatever the situation is, contact us. Sometimes we might tell your student, you know what, it's just a small thing, tell your faculty, but if it's going to be for longer or it's a situation where it's a medical concern, we can absolutely send absence notifications on their behalf. The other thing that we do absence notifications for, and we hope this isn't the case, but unfortunately, a lot of times students are at that age where they start losing grandparents. And so if that happens, we do have a grief absence policy where faculty have to excuse for a certain number of days. So if that is your situation, please call us so we can support your student through that and help them in any way we can. We do have an on-call team for after-hour emergencies. So there's always a dean on call 24/7 because you know what, our students are nocturnal and sometimes things happen at night. So we are ready to respond if we need to. The other thing that's a good resource for parents, families, the community member is called Student of Concern Reports. That's on our main website. And really, Student of Concern Reports are a way for you to fill out a report to communicate with us any concern you might have for your students. That could be, I'm worried because they're having troubles adjusting. That could be, my student called me crying because they don't know if they want to be an engineer or not. Really anything that you're maybe losing sleep over or worrying about. If you submit a student of concern, someone in our office actually does outreach, and they're not in trouble. We make sure that they know we're not the dean like the high school dean, which was oftentimes the person that was telling them they made a big mistake or puts them in detention. But really, we're just here to support them and say, how can we help you get connected? What can we do to help? And as I mentioned, if you're not sure who to call, you can call us first. I know Parent and Family Programs is a great resource for parents, but for your students, if they're trying to navigate it, let them know. We can definitely be a first point of contact. And if we don't know, we work really hard not to kind of push students from office to office. In fact, we'll oftentimes call other offices with students, so that way they feel like they get their need. Okay, next. Underneath the Dean of Students office, this is just a good piece of information to know. We actually do have an attorney in our hallway, and she meets with students for lots of different reasons, and it's completely free. So if your student, knock on wood, this won't happen, but if your student gets a speeding ticket, or what's most common is when students are living off campus, if they're having issues with a question about their lease or landlord-tenant issues. Leslie Charters is our attorney to serve our students only, and this is her information. So once again, it's nice to be able to have that in case something would happen. Slide. We also have an off-campus housing office. So my guess would be that the majority of your students are living on campus their first year, and I think that's a great, wise decision. But if they do want to consider to move off campus, I would definitely encourage them to make an appointment with our director of off-campus housing. His name is Ashley Darnell. And even though I work here and we live in this community, I had my son meet with Ashley because he really knows who treats our students well, who maybe don't treat our students as well, and things like, oh, it may sound like it's a really good deal, but here are the other finances you need to think about. They charge you a separate fee for trash or for cable or for internet. He's a great resource. He has a great website. So if you are in a situation, because students start thinking about this pretty early in the fall in terms of where they're going to live next year. So if your student is saying, you know what, I love the residence halls for the first year, I think I want to try the off-campus housing experience, definitely have them connect with Ashley. Last but not least, we have an area under the Dean of Students called the Center for Advocacy, Response, and Education. Tammy Patrick is the director. And essentially, this is a place for students to have a confidential resource for anything that could be deemed power-based, whether that's relationships or issues or concerns. For example, maybe your student calls you and says, you know what, my roommate seems to be in an unhealthy relationship. You know, she's dating this guy, he seems kind of controlling, I'm not sure what to do. CARE is what our students call it, for the Center for Advocacy, Response, and Education, is the office to help our students navigate those situations. So whether it's for them personally or someone that they care about, they are a confidential resource to focus on empowering students and tell them the resources here and different community resources on our campus. And I believe that is it.
That's it. Thank you so much, Julie, for that. Let me stop sharing our screen right now. We have had several questions come into our Q&A. Lori has been doing, most of those have gone to Lori in our push area. So thank you, Lori, for grabbing those. But I do want to make sure that I pull a few of those out to get on this webinar so that if someone is watching this recording a little bit later, since they're unable to see that chat feature, they at least have the have it to reference back in here. But first off, I'm going to put Tammy Lowe on the spot and see if you know this information, but I'm guessing probably not yet. Do you know if the swimming pools are following the CDC guidelines to allow lap swims by reservation?
At this time, the co-rec is not open. We are waiting for the green light to move forward. But I do believe once it does open, there will be some guidelines. I haven't paid a very close attention to that because it's not my area, but I've heard them talk about lap swimming. So I think you will go on the website and find out that information once we do reopen.
Thank you very much. Okay, Lori, I'm going to shoot several of these questions off to you. I know you've answered them in the chat, but again, just having those here for families to reference back to will be a great thing. So can you talk about the coverage for Anthem? Does that only apply if a student gets the Anthem coverage? Does that only apply to them while they are here on campus in the state of Indiana? Lori, you're still muted, hun.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, no, the student insurance plan is good anywhere in the world. Outside of the United States, you're going to probably, well, you are going to have all out-of-network providers. In the United States, you'll have a two-tiered payment or coverage plan where you have in-network and out-of-network providers, but it's good anywhere in the world.
Okay. The next question for you along insurance lines, can online students enroll for the domestic insurance? So if they are a student that is, they're going to be online, they've opted into that fully online fall semester, can they still opt in for insurance?
Up until today, I would have said no. However, today I was in a meeting where we discussed this, and it was decided that if your student is a full-time student and they are enrolled through Purdue West Lafayette, they will be allowed to purchase the insurance as a domestic plan if they are a domestic student.
Wonderful. So the next question is in regards to the flu shots. Do you know the type of flu shot? And I will butcher the names if I try to say it, but I think you've already answered this. But do you know what type of flu shot will be offered or traditionally in the past?
All of the flu shots that Purdue has ordered this year are quadrivalent, which means that they cover 4 different strains of the flu.
Perfect. Thank you. And then this question you may or may not know. I'm not sure if you've answered this on the chat, but without an advance directive or a medical power of attorney, do you know if doctors in the Lafayette, the area community, would consult with parents over the phone regarding a treatment?
I have to tell you that I have exhausted every bit of my legal knowledge with regard to advance directives with what I told you during my introductory statements. I don't know exactly what happens. I just know that under Indiana law, they refer back to the parents for an incapacitated student or student.
All right. Let me double check through here. I think we have them all. I have 2 different screens going, so please forgive me that I am back and forth. I do remember seeing one question come up about, did the students receive all of this information during their orientation? I honestly am not sure who the students have all been presented to or presented by. I will get this information. I'll ask John and see, but this is being recorded. So if nothing else, your student will be able to, you can kind of nudge your student to watch this. We will make sure that you get this information for the link once it is uploaded. But I'm not sure. It might take me a couple of days, so please hang tight. Lori, we do have one more question that has come in that we'd like for you to answer. Do you know if United Healthcare insurance is accepted here on campus?
We are pushed is in network for United Healthcare and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, so it is accepted. We will bill for any insurance as well, but those are the 2 that we are in network for.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Lori. Thank you all to all of our panelists who joined us tonight. With our technical difficulties right at the beginning, I think we just squeezed it in right at that hour mark. So thank you all for sticking with us. If you do have any other questions that have not been answered tonight, if it was off topic or if you're just not sure where to turn, do not hesitate to reach out to parents at purdue.edu. Again, that is PARENTS at purdue.edu. Another wonderful resource is the 2020 Admitted Purdue Families group. So if you are not a Facebook user or just an occasional Facebook user, I would really recommend you joining that group. We have over 5,500 families in that group at this time. I don't know that there's a topic that we haven't covered. We have a number of campus partners in there. We have families who have students who have been there, done that before. So they know campus, they know how things work, and they are a wealth of knowledge on that group. So I really would encourage you to do that. It is, if you just go to Facebook and you type in 2020 Admitted Purdue Families, there are a few questions you have to answer. The most important question is, what is your student's name? Because I do verify that you are a parent or a family member of an admitted student before allowing you in that group. That just helps keep the students out of that group because of the conversations in there, and they already have their own group. So, but if you have any questions, again, parents at purdue.edu. Thank you all again for joining us tonight. We look forward to being able to welcome you at some point on campus. We're excited that your students are here. They're thriving. They seem to be having a wonderful time. I saw several students walking trails as I drove into campus this evening. So thank you again. Have a great evening, and we hope to see you soon. Good night, all.